Cancel.
Squeezy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
You said it last time when I reviewed Season 1. Now it's on to Season 2 to upset all of you even more. Those of you who hated the first review, I got too many of those comments. And now it's my time to let you all know we're doing Season 2. All right, so let's
just jump into it.
All right, so we're on to the second season of The Sopranos, right? A show I have called silly in the past. Apparently, people do not think that The Sopranos is a silly show, only me. And the fact I said Italians are silly did not sit right with Italians. So I can't wait to give you... I have more hot takes here today, folks. If you were pissed off last time, guess what? You're going to get pissed off even more now. All right? So we're still... the show revolves around Tony. It's called The Sopranos. And you think with a show called The Sopranos, it would go over everyone with the last name Soprano. So there's AJ Soprano, Carmela Soprano... Junior Soprano, Meadow Soprano, and so barely goes over to any of them. We're just focused on Tony, James Gandolfini, New Jersey mob boss, for those we didn't know. He's a New Jersey mob boss. And this one, I think he was the top guy now, because it was Junior at the top, and then Junior got arrested. Now he's on a very loose house arrest that no one really gives a shit about. And the big thing with this show is that you're not just watching, an Italian mob boss be an Italian mob boss. Tony Soprano has anxiety. And nowadays you hear like someone has anxiety and you're like, big whoop, I do too. And but back in the 2000s, when this show started, you did not talk about your mental health. Like, mental health was taboo. I think my mom even thinks talking about your mental health is still taboo. I guess you don't want people to think you're a freak for taking pills that make you calm down or something like that. You're not enough of Jesus. Not enough of Jesus. You just have that. So yeah, but Tony has anxiety and he visits a therapist for it. The beginning of the season, the therapist was like, he made me go into hiding, so I'm gonna pass on being his therapist. And then she has a moral dilemma where it's like, I feel, when I feel like if you go into a doctor profession or something like that, similar, that like sometimes you have patients, you're like, I gotta like solve their fucking problem, And I think that's what makes like a good doctor versus like a bad one. A bad one is just like, well, I'll fix you, go on your way, fix you, go on your way. Real doctor is like, if you feel like you somewhat misdiagnosed or could be something off, or you need to do extra testing on something similar like that, most doctors are going to be like, all right, this was keeping me up at night. We need to do other stuff too. Most doctors do that. And I think this is what Dr. Melfi or whatever was all about. So that's why she brought Tony back in, which I don't even know about this stuff. Apparently in real life, I guess they got to a point where there's like, yeah, I'm just going to talk about whatever I do. I feel like they're going to get to that point, but most therapists are like, yeah, if you're doing illegal shit, I'm going to snitch. And so it's very interesting that, for the most part, this show, like, I guess Dr. Melfi, I'm not worried about it. So we're an Italian guy with anxiety, which sounds like every Italian guy with anxiety and shit like that. So that's Tony Soprano and shit like that. So Tony found himself in a bunch of shenanigans. Again, he's always just getting in, like, this show is all about what's Tony Soprano getting into. That darn Tony Soprano up to his little shenanigans again. And so, we got to do it. So he's, he maintains control of his perfect little empire. He tries to be a good husband, even though he literally cheats on Carmela. And I gotta say, though, Carmela MILF. And, like, Carmela kisses a handyman, like some guy who owns, like, a wallpaper putting up company or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the direct terms. I don't know. Do people still use wallpaper? Maybe that's a very East Coast thing, but Everyone I know just has walls. You put maybe put wallpaper in bathrooms, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, and then everyone's like, "That's Tony Soprano's wife." We're like, "God damn it, I can't do shit." But like Tony's cheating all the way. But it's like if Tony found out she was cheating, he'd be so mad, even though he literally cheats on her every day. Why do all these mob guys cheat? Maybe Paulie doesn't. Does Paulie even have a wife? Because they make him look try to make him look like really tough when he's like banging chicks. And every time Paulie comes, like Paulie is comedic relief. I can't imagine he's not comedic relief. Paulie Walnuts, isn't that what his name is? Just fucking comic relief. Yeah, in this world, Tony's marriage with Carmela is strained because they both don't know how to be ride or die. Actually, no. Tony is a very ride or die kind of guy, I feel like, even just like a friend like Polly, who's the guy who owns the restaurant? Like, even though that guy almost killed Tony, but they know each other forever, don't you feel like Tony would protect? And that's what I think the best part about the Mafia is don't like some groups of the Mafia, I think this could be like a biker gang type of thing, but like you have a little thing, a little card or something like that you put in like your business window, and it's like, yeah, you have to give the Mafia some money, but then no one's gonna ever fuck with you. It's like, because there's almost, and the nice thing I feel like with the Mafia, like sometimes the Mafia can really help out a community. Like, that's what like Tony's neighbors are like, safest neighborhood safest neighborhood around, because Tony's there, and like, no one's gonna try to rob shit around like Tony or whatever. Would you imagine Paulie showing up and like, hey, I heard you robbed someone the other day. You're gonna get that shit back. Like when what was that one guy, Richie, like fucking ran over a dude with his car or whatever, dude, and that dude's like gonna have a hard time walking. They're like, Richie, you gotta build a ramp. They're like, oh, you gotta build a ramp for him. Come on, Richie, build him a ramp. It's like, build him a ramp. You're the one who paralyzed him. You're gonna need to build him a ramp. Like how they're all like, fucking Richie, better build a ramp. It was probably okay that he died later in the series. I'm just saying. It was probably, I was kind of hoping he would die, because he was a little too much. I don't know. See, I don't like. They don't really. None of those guys really have anger issues, But Richie had anger issues. I don't know. Tony's just very uptight because he's just stressed he has so much anxiety. He's like a big ass ball of anxiety that like everyone has like little needles or like trying to push on it, trying to get it to pop. Like that's what everyone's trying to do, and stuff like that. So cool stuff. Just normal Mafia stuff. Remember when Tony's mom tried to put a hit on Tony? Yeah, they're not really they're not talking anymore. Like, Tony used to be, like, his mother's caretaker almost for a while, like the family caretaker. And then he's like, then Tony was like, if someone wants to put a hit out on me, I don't think I should have to take care of him anymore, which is a very valid. Look, I'm assuming, I think I read something that his mom's going to die, Okay, I just assume. Even after, I think I read something, even after her death, his mom was, I think I read something. So I know the mom's going to die, and I'm going to be very excited for that episode, to happen. Now we're getting into another part of the show, which I'm really interested in. It's like the FBI investigating Tony and, like, trying to dig up dirt on Tony, because I have to imagine, like, everyone knows in the show. Like, everyone knows who Tony is, what he does, unless you ask him. Like, never. First of all, if you think someone's in the Mafia, I'm just going to give a little life hack for everyone. If you think someone's in the Mafia, don't ask them if they're in the Mafia. You'll find out, you'll learn on your own they are. You're going to have to put some context clues together. But just don't ask them about that. In fact, don't go into business with them either, because that will fuck you over. That will really screw you over. Something like that I really do want to get into a little bit later as I talk about this. And then Tony's little gang of little rascals. They're up in their own shenanigans. Christopher, or Christopher, as normal people would say, Christopher, Christopher. So Christopher is so basically he's struggling with addiction, so he's doing drugs. And and that is kind of a good sign of someone. Like, if they don't do drugs, they're kind of like a psychopath, That's this kind of like, if the weight of existing is heavy on you, then, and you do drugs to do that, then, you're probably normal. But, if you don't, like, you're probably like a psychopath, dude. You're probably the craziest motherfucker I've probably ever seen.
This is America, you dumb son of a bitch, okay?
I have anything cool. I might need to find some funny Sopranos drops. That'd be fun. What else is going on here? So and like Christopher. We have a lot to go over with Christopher. But yeah, he also takes acting classes, and I think he ends up beating the shit out of a guy in the acting class. So he doesn't go to that acting class anymore. Like, that's kind of, someone who was in college. I really want to tell people that if you want to pass the class and you want to do good in the class, do not beat the shit out of a classmate. That won't be good. And, Christopher, he cheats on his girlfriend too. So almost fiance, wants to marry, he cheats on her. And then Jon Favreau, isn't it? And this is like Jon Favreau post Swingers, not like, because I know Jon Favreau. The majority of I know him from is like he did some acting. I guess Swingers was up there. I know him from Iron Man, Chef, that movie. He has a lot of his work on The Mandalorian and other Star Wars related projects. So like that's what I know him from. But he was known for a different thing, and he had like a redhead assistant. She was hot. She was fucking. I wonder what she's up to these days. But yeah, we the show really is the psychological struggles of someone in the mafia. Like themes, I wrote down some themes we got here. So those of you interested in that, themes of power, identity, and morality. I'm gonna tell you though, not a lot of morality in this show. I'm gonna tell you, not a lot of morality. It's like, these are the good bad guys. Like, that's what you're kind of watching, which makes for a good show. This is why the show is one of the best shows ever. Now, I'll agree with you. I know I say this show is silly and shit like that, and they do say dark humor is a big part of this show. So I'm not wrong. I am not wrong for any of you wanting to know.
I identify as a fucking threat.
I want to let you know I am not wrong in regards to this. I am 100% correct that it can be silly, okay? They say it's a dark comedy, okay? They say it's dark humor, okay? And dark humor is my, no pun intended, bread and butter. But yeah, so yeah, that's the show. We just go over what's going on with organized crime and the human condition and how humans live and how humans react to each other and all that stuff. But yeah, the biggest problem with the show, and I'm going to go into the biggest problem, is Christopher's eyebrows. Like, it's not a unibrow, but it's like one extends longer than the other. All right. And I'm not trying to say someone's appearance is a bad thing, but these guys are making bank here. They're making a ton of money in what they're doing. And so I feel that I think that a qualification to be in the mafia should be to own a pair of tweezers. It costs like at the most $2. I feel like you have to have $2 in cash or some change with you, because it's going to be like $1 or something, okay? I would just say bring 2 crisp $1 bills, just use that for payment for your tweezers. Like, these guys have the money to manage their eyebrows. They're going to spas and shit, okay? And I want to know what's wrong with the spa workers when they see someone's eyebrows and they're like, let's just leave it, I was like, do you want us to work on your eyebrows, Mr. Christopher? And he was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll work on it. You can work on it. Ow, what the hell's going on here? All right. So, yeah, Christopher's eyebrows. And it really is the worst thing about this season. Okay, the worst thing that anyone did in this entire show this season is just Christopher ignoring how his eyebrows look because he looks ridiculous, okay? I hope this is like a thing that gets fixed in later seasons. Like maybe Christopher discovers hey, Christopher, I got you these tweezers for your fucking eyebrows, you know? That'd be a funny joke, too. He's like, man, I'm not, you know, and shit like that. The other biggest problem I have with this, which wasn't that bad, I'm just saying someone just didn't do their research, you know? It's just someone who didn't do their research. We're nitpicking at this point. But there's a scene where Meadow, played by Jamie Lynn Sigler, gets serenaded by a bass player. And I don't know how many of you are musicians out there, but if you don't know, the bass is a very important part of a band, and I don't want to doubt that. I play bass, and I'm playing bass in a band. I play basses in bands, too, and it's not like that big of a deal. However, I'm a guitar player who plays bass, so I just know what I know on guitar, and I transfer it over to bass, and with a couple adjustments, stuff like that. This guy is an actual bass player. And usually bass players are the dumbasses in the group, you know? Like, they intentionally don't change their bass strings because they like the tone, and that tone is ass, you know? And they don't know how to... It's just like... I think this is a story I had recording someone. I was like, okay, I'm recording, you know, and I'm like, all right, tune up your bass. And you're like, oh, I tuned it home. And I'm like, okay, that's not how this works here. Your bass can go out of tune from home to here. So usually it's a good practice in recording to actually tune between each take.
What?
I'm not that big of an asshole, but usually would probably be in the middle of a take, and I'd just stop it and be like, hey, that's out of tune. We need to tune up again. Or something like that, because we got to make sure we're in tune, you know, recording. You don't want to fucking listen to something out of tune in a recording. It's just like no one's gonna wanna. You're not making a good product there. So, but yeah, here's the picture. That's Meadow getting serenaded by a bass player. This is a real scene that someone put into this show. Someone actually put into this show a bass player serenading a woman, and I am in utter shock that someone's like, maybe he could play like real guitar. Nah, he's gonna play bass. You know, that's all we have on set right now. I know we have a big budget because we're HBO, but you know, we're just gonna put him on the bass. I think the bass, it was a nice bass too. That was the problem. Like, do I have a picture on here? I'm gonna look at it real quick because I whipped it on my phone. Did I flick it on my phone like a little? There we go. Yeah. What kind of bass was it? It was an actual Fender bass. I want to make a good guess. It was made in Mexico, but I bet it was a good bass. Mexico makes good basses. Okay, it's not. Don't be mad that way. So yeah, that was a weird fucking scene. One of the biggest plot points in this season was from a poker game, and then things that happened. You know, the results of said poker game. So. You know, Tony has 2 lives. Basically, he kind of has 2 lives. Not really, but, like, it's not, like, secret from each other, but he does have 2 lives. He has his, like, him being a parent, and he talks to his parent, like, other kids' parents, as, you know, that's how you communicate with them. If you have a kid, you probably have to do bullshit from their school, and then you meet other parents who do bullshit for the school. And so you know each other. So they're, like, people you know from your children's school and stuff like that, and then he has work friends, which is like Polly. Then he also has people who are technically mafia customers, which are people who go into debt with the mafia. Max out your credit cards before you do that, okay? That'd be the best thing, or rob someone. There's so much you can do that's not, it's totally not just like fucking getting a loan from the mafia. So this motherfucker is I think it's actually the bass player's dad in the show, the show too. Basically,
This is the type of guy you get.
So basically, like, it's in like this hotel. They do it in this hotel room. It's closed doors, and then like you have to talk to Christopher before he can come in. And this guy who's like the father of one of Meadow's almost boyfriend at this point, he wants to play, and Tony's like, hey, you do not want to get involved with this. You do not, like, he's like, he warns him a lot, like, at the door, like, you don't want to get involved with this. You need to turn around, go. You don't want to get involved with this, you know. The warning could have been communicated a little bit better, But Tony gave the warning, and this guy is a gambling addict, and he's like, no, Tony, I want to get in, and he's like, it's $4,000 just to get in, and then or something like that, and then Tony was like, and then he's like, can't you spot me? And I'll win it back. It's not gonna be a big deal. And Tony's like, eventually he's like, I'm not gonna fight with you anymore. Okay, again, and this guy loses a lot of money in this game. Tony did warn him. Could have been more specific, but he did warn him. And so now this guy's in debt to Tony. And so he takes his son's car and he gives it to Tony as some collateral, for some stuff. And Tony is like, oh, my daughter needed a car. Here you go. But this is like one of her friends, It's like, thanks, like, Dad, I don't want this car, because it's my friend's car. And Tony's like, why is everyone mad at me? It's just business as usual, like this is his job. He's like, why is everyone mad at me for doing my job? And I'm like, yeah, you are right. Like this, people who gamble, it's not like, I don't know, like I feel like gambling's so much different from other addictions because, it's just, I don't know, it's like self-control, I don't know, like I technically have some addictive things, but at the end of the day though, it's kind of like, I can stop doing anything whenever I want, and I can do that. I'll just hop back on again later, So it's not like a problem of like I can't, like I can stop, but it's like but like it's also I'm not really technically an addict because it's not controlling my life. It's something I do in the evenings when I'm not working, So it's different there. But like gambling, like I don't know, like I feel like I don't know. It's just gambling. You're just like, oh, you're broke, and you're like, maybe if I get more money, I can get it back, and then you just continue to go up. Because most of those games are really just like for you to lose money, Because like I could go, I've never been actual gambling, but I've been to arcades. I'm 30 years old. I've been to arcades, and I could spend a lot of money on arcades and shit like that. Especially if you want like a little shitty ass prize, you're trying to like impress a bitch, like. That shit can get addicting. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Tony was okay in that storyline. Like he did warn him. And like he should have known he was getting himself. If I don't know. It just in my mind, I think if you take a loan from the mafia and have no way of paying it back, you're kind of a fucking dumbass. It's just, I don't know. I just would not, I don't know. I want to be friends with guys in the mafia, but I don't want to do business with them, It's like, let's keep that separated, Unless it has to be something where I don't want to be in like debt to someone, It has to be kind of a mutual thing. Like I don't want to be taken advantage of or whatever. It's similar, similar to that.
What?
There we go.
I identify as a fucking threat.
And then we had the death of a very important character. This is the final episode of the show, Pussy, or his name was Sal, but everyone just called him Pussy. Big Pussy. I think his name was Big Pussy. Remember last season when that police officer was like, oh, Pussy has a wire on him or whatever. Well, in this season, Pussy does start colluding with the FBI and shit like that, trying to get dirt on him. And obviously, the guys find out, and it's kind of it's interesting TV because they're like, because they treated Pussy like a brother, but like at the same time, Pussy was kind of the one to betray them. So like, I don't know, if you're going to be a snitch, you got to be, you got to do a good job or whatever. If I don't even know what the end game was for Pussy. I guess, and they made it a thing where it's like, because Pussy did get arrested last season, and so I guess he was snitching to get less jail time, and he was thinking like, oh, I'll work with the CIA. I'm going to be like a undercover agent for the CIA. They're like, no, you're just going to give us some information, and then you're going to serve your time. That's it. And so it's kind of a sad end for Big Pussy, even though his name is Big Pussy, and he's just like, all right, you guys can call me that. Like, his friends shot him and then dumped his body in the ocean, that's the thing with the mafia though. At the end of the day, you're just gonna get murdered and thrown into the ocean, that's just how That's how it ends for you. And then with Tony vomiting every fucking 10 seconds. But overall, yeah, I guess that's the season. That's the season we're watching. Season's greetings. A couple weeks we'll get to season 3, which will be some cool, what we like to call
Cool stuff, slick stuff, neat stuff.
And yeah, but the show ends with, like last season, it kind of ended. The show, like the ending of the show of the seasons are like very underwhelming. I know how the show ends, the series ends, and that was kind of underwhelming, but I'm kind of interested. Is every season going to kind of end with a very underwhelming? And I'm saying underwhelming in a good way. I'm saying underwhelming as in, I feel like the whole purpose of it was to be like, holy crap, some crazy shit just happened, and now they're just, eating, being a family, hanging out, And, it's a very interesting way to end things, and but I like the artistic choice. I think the artistic choice was well done, well executed, well done. Overall, I did like season 2. I thought I read somewhere that this was the best season of the series, which I hope not, because I got 4 more seasons of this to go through, and 4 more seasons to talk about with each other and move on from here. So anyways, though, what is everyone's thoughts? Y'all still fucking hate me? Is this the worst review you've ever seen of a show? Am I just talking for no reason whatsoever? You decide. But yeah, everyone, what are your thoughts on all this shenanigans and whatnot? And what should I expect for season 3? I know there's a weird Meadow virginity episode that I'm have to mentally prepare for, which apparently I've read is like the most awkward episode. I don't know if it was stated as the worst episode of The Sopranos. Some people will probably think that, but a lot of people didn't like it. So I'm excited to see where all this goes. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something